Story 48. I bust my fiancé at her bachelorette party. So, my 34MGF, 30F, and I were getting married after dating for 3 years. I proposed to her on a cruise to Alaska a little over a year ago. Sarah and I were a perfect match. We shared love, laughter, hobbies, and views on the universe. We always find each other when we go to parties with friends, and we're never away from each other for more than a workday. I traveled with her to see her family, and she came with me to see mine. Our sex life is amazing, and romance has always been present. We date a few times a week, and I even open the door to the car for her because I want to. She's my perfect mate. She was my soulmate. There was this connection on a level that I had never had with any of my previous girlfriends and couldn't even imagine existed. At least she was until her B party. I decided to drink with my friends at a local club where the dancers were still clothed. Think bikinis or lingerie on a stage to 80s-90s rock. It was tame, and I was super happy that my best man knew me and respected my fiancé and me enough to keep low-key. Sarah and her MOH rented a hotel suite and made a big production out of it. Her MOH came to me and asked if I wanted to help surprise my fiancé. She talked me through her plan. She was going to have me show up and dance for my girl to end the night. I'm a personal trainer and physical therapist specializing in athletes competing in physical contact sports, everything from martial arts to football. As part of that, I stayed in shape, and her MOH thought it would be fun to have me in a mask there to dance for my Sarah. I thought it would be hilarious and said yes. On the night of the party, after a day of activities like going to the spa, getting their nails done, etc., the 6 women making up the bridal party ended up at the hotel suite to have some drinks and talk. Sarah had taken our car, so her MOH left to go get her special present, driving over to pick me up. It was about an hour round trip, so MOH said that Sarah and the girls should be feeling a buzz by now, so it was time for the show. We walked in with me in my dance costume, doctor in scrubs, with a full surgical face mask and hat. It wasn't supposed to hide my identity since it was still me in a surgical mask, including the face shield and surgical hat. MOH stopped in the doorway as we walked in, and I ran into her. MOH is staring at another dancer in shock that is already there with a party in full swing. One of the other bridesmaids looks over and squeals, "Surprise! We got a dancer!" I pushed past MOH and saw Sarah dirty dancing with some guy grinding her crotch on his upper thigh in a passionate tongue kiss with his hands cupping her butt. I stood there staring at them when MOH started screaming at Sarah. The other women noticed what was happening even with the loud music playing. The ones that weren't drunk started trying to pull Sarah away from the dancer. Sarah had been drinking, but she wasn't drunk. I stood there in total shock, watching them make out, dry humping to music. I've been drunk, way drunk. And I know I wouldn't be kissing another woman because Sarah is my world. MOH starts yelling at the other bridesmaids, saying, "You knew this was supposed to be a girls' night without dancers." As she's scolding them, the girl that got the dancer starts defending herself, saying crap like a bachelorette party isn't real without a little fun. MOH gets in her face and tells her she hopes she enjoyed it enough to destroy Sarah's relationship. The bridesmaid points at me sarcastically and says, "You brought a dancer." MOH looked at her and yelled, "It's her fiancé, you stupid bitch." Sarah had heard the screaming and looked at MOH, and then she looked at me. I could see the confusion and then the shocked recognition in her eyes. I had uncovered my face, and when Sarah looked at me, she flinched, jumped back away from the dancer, and started screaming something as I walked out the hotel room door. I left the room and called an Uber. Thinking about it now, the girl driving had to wonder why she was picking up someone in scrubs at a hotel. We didn't speak the entire ride except for my "thank you" as I got out. MOH texted me, asking what I wanted to do with Sarah for the night. She offered to take her to her house to give me room and time to think. MOH knew I wasn't in the mood to be with Sarah. I said yes and thanked her for thinking of me. Now, some of you probably think I'm making a mountain out of a molehill since she didn't have sex with the guy. In my book, the kissing and grinding were potentially a lead-up to something worse. She is my everything, but how can I marry her if I'm not hers? MOH took Sarah back to the hotel the next day to get our car, and Sarah showed up at my house around noon. MOH texted me to tell me she had let her sleep in because she was up crying most of the night. I thanked MOH, but she texted me saying she was sorry about what had happened, trying to take the blame for Sarah. MOH pleaded that Sarah truly loved me and that I shouldn't make rash decisions. I promised her I wouldn't and waited for Sarah to come home. When Sarah arrived, she didn't just come in. She rang the doorbell and waited for me to open the door. We stood at the door for an eternity until she asked if she could come in. I stepped to the side to allow her in. Sarah was living with me, so it was interesting that she didn't just walk in. Sarah asked me if she could get some water, and Motrin and I nodded. I sat in the front room as she was getting water and some painkillers. There was a strange vibe between us. She was very careful in how she acted, like cleaning the glass she drank from and putting it in the rack to dry instead of leaving it in the sink. When she came to sit next to me, I pointed at the couch since I didn't want her near me. She hesitated but sat down where I pointed. She just sat there staring at the coffee table, not speaking. I finally asked her why she did what she did and she just started bawling. She was crying so hard I couldn't understand what she was saying, but I got the gist. Part of what she said was something like, "I must hate her now." I told her, "No, I don't hate you, but we're not in the same relationship today that we were in yesterday. We'll need to discuss that when you're ready." As soon as she realized what I said, she started to cry harder and stood up, trying to come to me. She started in on the, "I'm so sorry," and the, "Please forgive me" lines. I moved away from her when she got close. She was freaking out that I wouldn't allow her to touch me. I told her we needed to pause whatever we had going because I needed to make some decisions. Sarah got this haunted look and asked if I was calling off our engagement. I laughed and said, "Of course I am. What do you expect me to do?" I asked if she had walked in and found me doing what she did with some stripper. What would she do? She just stood there with her mouth open, trying to find an answer, then finally sat down and buried her face in her hands, still crying. I asked if she wanted to tell people or if she wanted me to tell people. She freaked out again and said she'd handle it, which made me laugh. I told her not to lie about it if anyone asked, but she didn't need to volunteer anything other than we were putting everything on hold. I told her I would correct her publicly if I found out she lied to anyone. I held out my hand and told her to give me the ring, and she panicked. She was begging me not to take back the ring. I had to insist a couple more times until she finally handed over the ring. I allowed Sarah to stay in the house, and she's been meticulous in keeping her promises to the point that she took the password off her phone and closed down her SM accounts. None of this was anything I asked her to do. I told her she needed to at least keep her FB account because that's how she communicated with her parents. We're still together, and I now refer to her as my girlfriend instead of fiancé. She cried the first time I did that around some of her friends. I'm not worried about her being hurt by the facts of our relationship. That's something she needs to work out herself. Although things are better between us, it's obvious that the special connection I felt with Sarah no longer exists, at least from my side. She is my girlfriend now, but I didn't see her as my soulmate the way it used to be. I have some hope for us, but I find it hard to respect her like I used to. I'm not sure what our future looks like, but I told her that I wouldn't marry her without a prenuptial agreement. She didn't seem to care about what I said other than there was some chance we might still get married. I'm getting the itch for a family, and I know she is too. This is the end of my saga, at least for now. This all happened just before COVID, and we're still together. It's getting better, but I don't expect it to be the same again. I do have more trust in her than I originally thought I would. Her maid of honor is dating my younger brother now. It was pretty crazy. They met at my place when MOH came by to see Sarah. They shacked up during the pandemic, and MOH is 7 months pregnant. He told me they plan on getting married once the baby arrives. Stay strong, and don't let the drama overwhelm you.
I only post new and unique content. Please like and subscribe.